the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Ministers, Ministers and Assistant Ministers, the Leader of the Opposition and Members of Parliament. I extend to you all a very good morning, a blessed Holy Lent season, and Ash Wednesday and Eid Mubarak. I recognize and pay tribute to the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, Mr. Speaker. Kinabunoba turang o nandunumay, buwana turang na tuisuba, kinabunoba turang kumburi basang, buwana maramambale na rokutin raketi na bunivalu. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to respond to the most gracious address delivered by His Excellency, the President. His Excellency's address comes at a crucial moment, setting a clear and focused direction for the year ahead, serving as a vital reminder of the responsibility we must all shoulder in ensuring Fiji's continued success, both at home and on the international stage. A message that emphasizes the need for a united effort from all of us to turn these aspirations into tangible actions, advancing the goals that will enrich our global standing and protect the interests of every Fijian. The Bible reminds us in Ecclesiastes 4, 9 and 10, two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls, one can help the other up. And this verse to me stresses the power of unity and collaboration, reminding us that together we're stronger and more capable of achieving the shared goals that will uplift our nation. Mr. Speaker, the launch of Fiji's first ever foreign policy white paper is not only a historic moment for our nation, but also a defining step forward toward a future where our international engagements are both purposeful and strategic. This document provides a clear blueprint for our diplomatic journey in the years to come. The white paper outlines Fiji's approach towards regional challenges, foreign relations, trade partnerships, and security concerns, and simultaneously, Mr. Speaker, guarantees that our sovereignty remains sacrosanct. Mr. Speaker, the white paper defines three interlinked pillars: sovereignty, security, and prosperity, that form the bedrock of Fiji's foreign policy. And these pillars guide our responsible role on the global stage, affirming our commitment to upholding national interests while engaging the world with mutual respect and shared goals. Our sovereignty remains paramount as we navigate a complex and increasingly challenging geopolitical environment. While welcoming allies of every stripe, regardless of how they are seen by the rest of the world, the work of the Ministry reaffirms Fiji's commitment to maintaining an independent foreign policy approach, ensuring that we engage with all nations based on mutual respect and shared interests. So the concept of sovereignty is more than just territorial integrity. Allow me to expand on that. Territorial integrity for Fiji means the right to defend our territories and our borders. It also captures territorial oneness and recognizes the rich ethnic and cultural diversity in Fiji and the fundamental rights to exist without external influence and be a determinant for one's own destiny, values, and interest. The Ministry will work with the relevant partner bodies to advocate and collaborate bilaterally and multilaterally for a clear rules-based order at global, regional, and national level. This will be engineered through an approach that is fixated on the sovereign interests of Fiji and the region. Mr. Speaker, at the national level, this development mandates that the state protects the identity and relations of the various sovereign ethnic groups. The Ministry is committed to preserving and advancing the interests of indigenous and marginalized populations who face disadvantages due to factors such as wealth, gender, residence, disability, ethnicity, or migration status. In line with the United Nations principle of leave no one behind, the Ministry will ensure that all individuals, regardless of their circumstances, are included in the benefits of national development and progress. In addition, Mr. Speaker, efforts will be challenged to provide the required support towards gender, equity, identity, social inclusion, and acceptance, including the managing of sovereignty within sovereignty to ensure fairness and equality. The Ministry will further enlist partner support to optimize initiatives, policies, and programs on culture and heritage that will embrace respect for Fiji's diversity and oneness, and also enhance livelihoods with equity in education, health, and social development. Cultural institutions will be tagged priority, sir, as they strengthen values and beliefs and increase the significance of cultural property as a currency in foreign relations. The Ministry will strengthen global alliances using Fiji's unique approach to diplomacy, aiming to tackle challenges at the national, regional, and international levels. A renewed focus on the Pacific will also enhance regional ties, drawing on shared historical, cultural, and people-to-people connections, while highlighting our nation's status as a central hub and gateway. Fiji will continue to pursue strategic leadership and membership roles in international and regional bodies and robustly engage in the related forums with the goal of lobbying for Fiji's agenda, addressing emerging issues and securing alliances to advance Fiji's interests. The hosting of international events will further provide an important opportunity to greatly enhance Fiji's agenda globally, and this will be given priority by the Ministry in its efforts. Mr. Speaker, sir, Fiji's diplomatic missions will remain essential conduits to the global community, strengthening international relationships and enhancing our role in global affairs. These missions are pivotal in advancing our foreign policy and ensuring that our national development goals are supported through strategic partnerships and international collaboration. As part of our commitment to expanding Fiji's global engagement, sir, we have recently reopened several of our diplomatic missions, making an important step in re-establishing our presence abroad. And additionally, as you know, sir, we are planning to open more missions in strategic regions to increase our global footprint. This expansion will not only raise Fiji's profile, but also open new opportunities for economic, trade, security, and social development. And to achieve these goals, sir, it is essential that our diplomatic missions are properly resourced. This will enable them to effectively pursue key objectives such as fostering economic growth, advancing security cooperation, and promoting social progress. Proper support will ensure that our missions continue to represent Fiji's interests and drive our collective ambitions on the global stage. Mr. Speaker, I turn to security, and the Ministry's focus on security will be driven twofold, with the traditional and non-traditional aspects. Traditional security will remain focused on protecting our sovereignty, our borders, and our citizens through defense, law enforcement, and intelligence efforts. Our dedication to national defense, is unwavering. At the same time, non-traditional security challenges are becoming increasingly important. Issues such as cybersecurity, climate change, public health, economic resilience, and social unity are critical to the safety of our nation. Effectively addressing these emerging threats necessitates a cohesive and all-encompassing strategy that incorporates both traditional defense and global challenges. Mr. Speaker, we all know climate change is a cross-cutting issue, and with Fiji's vulnerability to climate and natural disasters, the Ministry will continue to vigorously pursue climate resilience. It will involve the engagement of partners, alliances, and multilateral institutions to help Fiji in adaptation and mitigation efforts. A key focus for Fiji will be the efforts to improve our access to climate finance and adaptive research, including national capacities and also capabilities for humanitarian assistance and disaster response efforts with strategic partners. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry will continue to advocate for national, regional, and international peace, security, and stability as essential foundations for sustainable development. Fiji is committed to fostering a united family and acknowledges its shared responsibility in building a secure and resilient future for all its peoples. The significance of regionalism cannot be overstated, Mr. Speaker, with our regional organizations serving as pivotal platforms for advancing our collective interests. Fiji, therefore, remains steadfast in its commitment to the family-first approach within the Pacific, prioritizing regional security and development through collaborative efforts. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry will place particular importance on the Ocean of Peace pronouncement by the Honourable Prime Minister that will strengthen national and regional coexistence, tolerance, respect, freedom, and peace. These shared commitments will be extended to breaking existing barriers or discrimination to ensure a safer and a better region where we can enjoy to the fullest a life of dignity and hope. Fiji's stewardship in this area is crucial at a time when global and regional security dynamics are shifting. Our strong advocacy for the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons further underscores Fiji's commitment to nuclear non-proliferation and regional security. This treaty is particularly significant in ensuring that the Pacific remains a nuclear-free zone, thereby safeguarding our environment and our people. Mr. Speaker, advancing Fiji's economic interests and ensuring the prosperity of all Fijians are key pillars of our foreign policy. A secure Fiji goes hand in hand with economic security, which is essential for improving the living standards of our people. In a rapidly changing global environment, expanding Fiji's economic space is crucial to ensuring long-term sustainable growth and resilience. The key objective focuses on broadening the country's economic opportunities and enhancing its global presence. It involves diversifying trade relations, securing new markets for Fijian-made products, and strengthening partnerships that promote sustainable business development, all aimed at positioning Fiji for future economic success. Mr. Speaker, expanding key sectors such as tourism, agriculture, and the digital economy is essential to driving this sustainable growth that I speak of, and ensuring the resilience in the face of global economic uncertainties. Fiji's active participation, therefore, in regional economic initiatives, including the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, will be instrumental in unlocking new markets and attracting investment. The Ministry will focus on strengthening and expanding development cooperation with key bilateral and multilateral partners, emphasizing socio-economic priorities, poverty reduction, and fostering people-to-people connections. This will involve securing development assistance, enhancing Fiji's leadership in international fora, and creating employment and labor mobility opportunities for Fijian nationals. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry will work to improve education, health, and social development, particularly for vulnerable groups, while furthering our diplomatic relations. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry's annual operation plan is fully aligned with the guiding principles outlined in the White Paper, ensuring that its strategic objectives are not only articulated but also translated into specific, actionable steps and measurable outcomes. This alignment provides a clear framework for the Ministry's activities, ensuring consistency in both short-term initiatives and long-term goals. Moreover, the cross-cutting nature of this operational plan will facilitate the integration of critical issues and priorities across the various ministries, fostering greater collaboration and coherence in addressing the challenges that impact multiple sectors. This comprehensive approach will ensure that the government's initiatives are efficiently coordinated, reinforcing Fiji's foreign policy objectives while driving collective progress across the whole of government. Mr. Speaker, another focus of the Ministry is on the projectization, that's probably a new word again, Mr. Speaker, of our core activities, making integrated project implementation a component of our operations. Mr. Speaker, this strategy aligns with the development priorities of Fiji and the Pacific Island countries, or the PICs, focusing on critical areas such as sustainable development, the intersection of climate change and migration, research, and poverty alleviation. This is a specific strategy. This is a strategic move towards more structured, results-oriented approaches in implementing our initiatives. And through this projectization, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry is better positioned to align its efforts with national and regional development priorities, addressing both immediate and intermediate and long-term challenges through focused, measurable projects. This approach, Mr. Speaker, allows the Ministry to move beyond traditional diplomatic efforts and engage in tangible, on-the-ground initiatives that contribute to the broader goals of sustainable development, climate change mitigation, poverty alleviation, and regional cooperation. Mr. Speaker, as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs prides itself with the first foreign policy white paper for Fiji, the hard yards will now unfold with its implementation and transformation of the Ministry to an institution which is modern, resilient, and transformative. I am adamant that the ministry will continue to boost the quality of its delivery and elevate Fiji's international engagements and relations, and successfully contribute to economic growth and nation building. At this stage, Mr. Speaker, I want to acknowledge the dedication and commitment of the hard-working team within the ministry, both here and abroad, whose efforts play a pivotal role in ensuring the continued success and progress of our foreign policy objectives. Their unwavering dedication will remain a key driving force behind the ministry's achievements. As I end my reply to His Excellency's most gracious speech, Mr. Speaker, I must reflect on earlier speeches. The Assistant Minister for Finance on Monday listed a number of gains that the government has achieved in the last 2 years to help our people, contrary to misinformation spread by members on the other side. But I cannot let this one slide, Mr. Speaker, for a member to say on Monday that the Fiji First in 16 years managed our public health system better than the coalition government has in the last 2 years, frankly, is quite sickening. Mr. Speaker, 3 times on the floor of this Parliament, Honourable Pio Tikonduandua, as an opposition member between 2018 and 2022, outlined the state of decay at the Colonial War Memorial Hospital. On the 17th of June 2019, Honourable Tikonduandua showed this House a picture of a toilet door in the acute men's medical ward that had not been repaired for over 16 months. The doorknob of the said door had been replaced with an intravenous tube, and to keep the door closed, one had to use a block of wood. And Mr. Speaker, in reply to members from the other side about the scourge of drugs, I remind this House and this country of the shameful assault on the Honourable Tikonduandua by the then Prime Minister on Friday the 9th of August 2019. But what the people of Fiji must understand, and most of us here probably won't hear, is the lead up to this shameful travesty. On that day, the Honourable Tikonduandua had moved a motion in this august House that, I quote, that Parliament urgently appoints a special parliamentary committee under Standing Orders 129 to holistically look into the multifaceted risks of the hard drug situation in Fiji, unquote. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, not one single member from the government at the time voted for the motion on that day, Friday the 9th, 2019. Mr. Speaker, someone said, we learn how we got where we are and why we live the way we do. It's a study of us, of humans, our place in an ever-changing world. Without it, we wouldn't understand all our triumphs and failures, and we would continually repeat patterns without building forward to something better. Hence, Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me not to quote His Excellency when he said, I quote, as we open this session, let us remember the sacred duty that has been entrusted to us. This is a solemn responsibility to serve and to lead with integrity in building a better future for all of Fiji. Mr. Speaker, this message is not just for us here in this chamber, but for each and every one of us in Fiji who has the means to give back to where we came from. Mr. Speaker, I would like to address the chamber in my mother tongue. Aubea mbole kenda, rasamba wiliki tu mendasa rawati kenda. Benda laki taratha ke na nonten duin delaniabu. E senga talinindu ana laki taratha ke na nonten dui koro, tikina se asana, oi kenda saranga. Me waka kaya Honourable Pio Tikonduandua e nonona hosai ke ane kalima ni Disemba ne mbakisa oti, I quote, be kenda nei tumbu-tumbu e viti ni kua, na mata ni tu e senga ni pakasuduma indua nongone. E senga ni tama, e senga ni tina na matin tu. E tama nga nei tumbu-tumbu, e tina nga nei tumbu-tumbu. And about one of my pet peeves, Mr. Speaker, as I end, I have to say this, rubbish and littering. I would like to say this, Mr. Speaker, to everyone who's watching and listening. Where is your pride in your compound? Where is your pride in your street? Where is your pride in your suburb, your village, your town? If you can afford to buy grog, alcohol, data, phone recharge, and fuel for your car, I think you can well afford to buy a rubbish bin at the very least, instead of leaving your trash out in a plastic bag for the neighborhood strays to rip open and spread up and down your street. With that said, Mr. Speaker, I support the motion before the House, and I thank you for this opportunity. Inaga, sir.